Hey guys, welcome back to the Pisgah Enduro. We are officially in day 2.
While there's no official start time, riders are required to start from Camp Grier and be at the top of stage 1 before noon. The trek to the top is quite long by itself. Starting on the road at 1500 feet of elevation, it leads to Star Gap. After climbing that, riders must make it to the top of Heartbreak Ridge, almost reaching the Blue Ridge Parkway at an altitude of 4,800 feet. Stage 1 is a long, grueling descent down Upper Heartbreak, which is nothing short of an arm killer. A short transfer leads to Stage 2, Lower Heartbreak into Star Gap, with its many switchbacks. A final transfer leads to the top of Kitsuma, after which riders will follow this trail down the ridge to the final stretch of untimed road, all the way back to the start-finish line at Camp Grier. In total, this ride spans over 29 miles with 5,500 feet climbed and descended.
I have been climbing for about 2.5 hours, more or less. I'm 3/4 of the way up, so I believe I have about 30 to 45 minutes to go. We are climbing Heartbreak Ridge and I am seriously feeling it. After yesterday, it's been a tough way up. My legs are burning, so every once in a while I just have to stop. Beginning of the stage. That's both great and demoralizing because this stage is so long. Here we go.
After day 1, I was in 45th place out of 74 in my category. However, 39 of those riders had only signed up for the first day. So after adjusting for this, I was starting the day 23rd out of 35. We placed our bikes in line for the start and used the wait time for a well-deserved rest.
You're at 30 seconds.
I'm not sure why, but those 30 seconds before the final countdown are where I get a little nervous. Thankfully, as soon as the final countdown starts and I get going, I tend to forget pretty quickly that I was nervous.
Thank you.
Okay, well guys, this stage is unbelievably long. So I am really gonna be riding at like, I'd say 75, maybe 80%, because it is really brutal. I need my arms to hold the whole way, so not really going as fast as I can. I want to complete it without stopping.
I had already ridden this trail once, so I knew that my biggest challenge would be upper body fitness. This trail is rocky, rooty, bouncy, and challenging all the way down, with only 1 or 2 5-second spots where you can rest your arms.
A little wide there.
What I was not counting on was my bike messing with me only a minute into the trail.
Drop my chain. I dropped my chain.
With my mind racing, I went through what I thought were all the scenarios. Should I stop now and accept that I would lose 20 seconds and just fix the chain? Or should I wait until that huge climb that I already knew I was going to run up and fix the chain at that point? While I thought through what to do, I completely forgot what a sagging chain that is bouncing up and down a rocky descent can do.
Oh shit.
And so, my chain snagged and it got really stuck behind the cassette. After it became obvious that I wasn't going to unsnag it in a few seconds, I got my bike off the trail to make space for the next riders and started to look at the damage more closely. As you can probably tell, the chain had pulled the derailleur out of place and the chain itself was sucked way into the base of the wheel, stuck between the cassette and the spokes. Don't ask me how, but there were no completely broken spokes, which in itself is almost a miracle.
Go. Mechanical.
As the minutes went by, so did the riders that had started behind me. And in no time, I had counted that everyone that was behind me in line had passed me.
Oh, this sucks. I dropped the chain and it got stuck behind the cassette. Can't get it out, so that's it for my competitive race. I'm trying to finish this, get it out, and just make sure I get to the end.
Well, I got the chain out. Completely useless, so I'm going chainless. I'll try to fix this as soon as I get somewhere where I can use it.
Despite having managed to survive the rest of this ride, once I got back home and took the bike to the shop, 8 spokes had to be replaced as they had been damaged.
Might as well enjoy the ride down. No pressure now.
Kudos to Sapim for making some seriously strong spokes.
big ass climb. I'm just walking it. I'm getting a time on this no matter what. Even if it's 40 minutes instead of 15. I gotta say, I'm very lucky that it happened in that slow section because I don't know if you could hear it, my rear wheel instantly locked up. Had it been in another section, it could have been quite dangerous.
Since at this point I felt like I hadn't made my day complicated enough, I felt like it was a really good time to make the stupidest mistake I've made since I was a completely new rider.
Yeah, what's the point now, right? Just roll it over. Well, that's the stupidest shit I've ever done.
You can probably tell from my voice that I wasn't exactly happy right now.
Oh no.
By being lazy and not rolling that feature at a decent speed, I had managed to go over the bars at 2 miles per hour and tweak my bars. Getting my multi-tool out and fixing the bars easily added another 2 or 3 minutes to my total time.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it anymore.
This is probably the worst display of my riding skills since I've started this channel. Honestly, it's the first time I doubted if I wanted to show you guys some of this footage, as that OTB was quite embarrassing.
Both.
In the end, instead of doing the 14 minutes I had expected, I totaled an insane 38 minutes. Probably 20 of which was just getting the chain out.
Thank you.
Thankfully, my buddies waited at the end of the stage and we kept on going.
Okay? Looks so. We'll figure it out now. See how it goes.
As we wanted to get down to a place where I could work on the bike easily, I decided to do the next stage, Chainless, as well.
Alright, well, hopefully you get that thing straightened out, man. And I'm glad you're going to try and finish it. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I'm actually pushing with one foot. This is ridiculous. I'm riding a Strider right now.
By now it was clear that I was completely out of the running. Having had time to clear my head, I had two objectives. The first was to finish the race despite all the mishaps. The second was just to enjoy it. Racing or not, Star Gap is an awesome trail. I had earned my descent in the morning and I was set on having fun. I noticed that the suspension may have actually felt a tiny bit better without the chain altering its behavior, but definitely not enough to run chainless by choice. Now, reviewing the video, in the downhill sections, it doesn't even look like I was doing that bad. Oh well. Anyhow, the real issue was keeping momentum. Every time I slowed down, it took forever to get back to speed.
I need to pedal. I need to pedal, I need to pedal. Come on, get some speed.
You don't need no stinking chain. Downhill to the rest stop.
Any day out in the woods is better than not being here, right?
There you go.
Thank you guys.
So yeah, I just did stages 1 and 2 chainless. I have to say, not as much fun as it looks like on the TV. They make it look very easy. I obviously did terrible. Now I'm gonna put whatever is left on my chain and try to get this working so that I can at least make it up Kitsuma. One more stage to go. The time is now kind of irrelevant, but I really want to finish this, so I have to get some work done. I managed to fix the chain, but I have about 7 or 8 gears, so I am working extra hard to get to the top of Kitsuma. Because when you realize how amazing modern technology is, how awesome it is to have 11 or 12 gears in a cassette.
After a rather strenuous but honestly kinda short transfer, we had made it to Kitsuma for the start of the last stage of the race.
Thank you.
I knew there was no way to do a better time than the day before, as the stage had long pedaling sections. But I was feeling pretty good in the descent parts, so I wanted to get as close as possible. So far I hadn't captured it on video, but I couldn't really stand up and sprint hard on the bike as the gears would skip all over the place. So it was mandatory for me to pedal below a certain force or to run the climbs next to the bike.
Embrace the pushing. There's no way for me to pedal up that, so
I was curious to see just how much of a time difference I could do versus the day before. So by looking at Strava, it was interesting to see that at the beginning I was pretty close. But as soon as I hit that first climbing section, you can see that I go from about 2 or 3 seconds behind to a full 11 seconds behind in just in that climbing section. What's interesting to me is that every time I hit a descent, I would start to recover some time and actually do better than the day before. But every time I hit one of the flat sections, especially if you look from here over to here, the difference was huge. Basically, I went from 11 seconds behind to 29 seconds behind. So doing it that way, there was absolutely no way for me to match yesterday's time.
Oh God, this is so bad. I'm so tired. Come on. Don't snap. Don't snap. Almost there. Almost there.
After clearing the last pedally section, I actually felt like I was doing great. I would have loved to be able to do a clean run to compare with the day before, as I actually felt much faster. But there's no way for me to know for sure if I would have been able to beat my time with my current lack of gears.
Okay. Final straight. Almost there.
Oh well, I just think this means I'll have to come back next year. In the end, I learned 2 big lessons here. First, don't snooze out on maintenance. After reviewing post-race, I noticed that my narrow wide chainring was super worn, which is why I was having all those chain drop issues. After getting a new chainring, I had no more chain drop problems. Second, if you run into an issue mid-stage, it's best to fix it quickly and keep going. In my case, I ended up throwing away 3 stages because I didn't want to stop. Instead of using 20 seconds to fix the chain, I ended up wasting 25 plus minutes fixing the problem after it became serious, plus I had to go buy some parts and visit a shop after the race.
Thank you. I'm so burnt out. Today was a very long day.
I'm not going to bore you with the exact details of how I did it, but by looking at the standard deviation of day 1, if I had performed the same way on day 2, I would have done an expected total time of 57 minutes and 29 seconds, which would have given me a 23rd place. But the real relevance of this number is that it gives me something to beat for next year.
Now we're done with Enduro. This is the real finish line. Well guys, that is it for the Pisgah Enduro. Absolutely worth it. It was superb. Despite the fact that I got that mechanical and f***ed up on stage 1, I would really recommend that you come and do this if you have the endurance. If not, train for it and you can eventually come. The atmosphere is great, the people are great, and it's just so much fun. You know, you don't really have any pressure to perform. It's just mostly about finishing, and then you always get to push a little bit, test your limits, see how you do. And at least for me, it was a really humbling experience. So without the mechanicals, it would have been different, because on stage 1, I was expecting, stage 1 today, I was expecting to do about a 14-minute run, more or less, and I did 38, getting that chain unstuck from the hub, so that f***ed me over, but I was actually the slowest person to finish with those 38 minutes. In the other ones, I was actually pretty good, and you will have at this point seen the results for each of the stages because I put them on the screen. Well, I hope you had fun coming along for this one. I will see you for the next one, and happy riding.
I ate about half of their M&M.